What's going on YouTube? It is Repulse, back in another video. In today's video, we really need to talk about Chelsea's Club World Cup road. There was a lot that happened today, and I feel that it is best to just talk about the Club World Cup as a whole, and especially Chelsea's road to the final. It's something that definitely needs to be addressed because I think it's something that's going to pique the interest of a lot of fans. To begin, both giants are gone. Man City, obviously an English giant, Inter Milan, obviously an Italian giant, are both gone from the competition. Fluminense knocked out Inter Milan 2-0 today. They scored in the 3rd minute, and then the 90 plus 2, 90 plus 1, somewhere around there, in extra time. That's all I remember. It was a shot to the bottom right corner, and then the first one, I don't know what Jan Sommer was doing. Yeah, the ball pretty much bounced right in front of his face, and then someone headed it in and megged them for 1-0 in the 3rd minute. It was right away. I literally turned the game on and I see them celebrating, and I see the replay, and I'm like, what were Inter Milan doing? They looked disjointed the whole game. Fluminense had their way. They were pretty much playing any way they wanted to, and they were succeeding in that way. And they knocked out Inter Milan, which is a huge result for them. It gives them an opportunity to make so much more money, and I was super happy seeing that because Inter Milan are an Italian giant. Yes, they have a new manager. They're still finding out new tactics, but they still have Barella, they still have Bastoni, they still have Lautaro Martinez, they still have DeMarco. They have players that can punish you on any given day with their quality. I mean, they can beat any team in Europe just out of sheer quality. So it's a really good thing to see them gone. Even though, yes, they look disjointed, yes, they look like they need to figure themselves out tactically, but that's because Simeone Inzaghi left. And speaking of Simeone Inzaghi, him and his Al Hilal side actually beat Manchester City today, 4-3 in extra time. They were down 1-0 going into halftime, and then by the 54th, 52nd minute, something like that, they made it 2-1. Marcos Leonardo scored one, and then I can't remember who scored the other, but it was a minute into the second half they scored the first, and then 6 minutes after they scored the second. City came back with Haaland to make it 2-2. The 2 second goals for each side were pretty much just tap-ins from point blank range. Ball was pretty much bouncing around. Ederson had a horrible game. He was fumbling the ball left and right, which led to the second goal. Third goal for Al Hilal was a Koulibaly header. He had an amazing performance today. I'm hoping he did it for Chelsea's sake, eliminating the team that we all know would beat us in Manchester City. Haven't beat them in a multitude of years, and obviously Maresca is a Pep disciple, so you'd expect Pep to be able to beat one of his own disciples, if that makes sense. The teacher's always going to beat the student, and Maresca's a student in this instance. But yeah, Koulibaly with the third. I don't know who scored the fourth. It was in the second half of extra time. The third for City, I don't know either, off the top of my head. I can look it up on my phone very quickly and tell y'all in about 2 seconds. Yeah, I can't recall who. It was Marcos Leonardo, actually, in the 112th minute for Al Hilal to score the fourth. So he scored a brace in that game. He did win man of the match. So I guess well deserved for scoring that fourth goal, which was pretty much on a breakaway, I believe. Man City's line was so high. It was really easy to pass through them if you just played transition football, which is what Al Hilal did and broke Manchester City completely down. For City, the third goal was scored by Foden. I recall it now. It was Cherki playing one of the most beautiful balls I've ever seen into the box. Pretty much floated like the Palmer cross to Enzo Fernandez against Real Betis in the Conference League final. Is one of those where he just lifted the ball over the defense, but instead of Foden hitting it, he hit it with his foot. It landed right in his stride. Put it past the goalkeeper. Did get injured in the process, I believe, or he was down for a little bit. But it didn't matter in the end. Manchester City got knocked out, and that really opens up the door for Chelsea. So that begs the question of who's left for Chelsea to actually play. So to begin, we know we have Palmeiras. They beat Botafogo. We beat Benfica 4-1 in that insane game. I think everyone knows how crazy that game was, especially if you watched it. But even if you watch the highlights, I think it shows how crazy it was. But I don't think people understand how crazy it was waiting for 2 hours for the game just to resume. just for 5 minutes, and then Benfica to get a penalty that I still don't think was a penalty. And I'm looking back on it, and like, yes, it worked out for Chelsea in the end. I'm glad we won 4-1, but it could have just been 1-0 because I don't think it was a penalty for Benfica. And if I did, I would say it because at the end of the day, we got the result. It doesn't really matter if I believe if it was a penalty or not, but I truly don't think it was a penalty. I think the ref was just trying to cause controversy, which is what he did all game. But happy that we came 4-1 winners against Benfica. Palmeiras scored in extra time. I can't remember who scored for them, but it was a right-footed shot from outside the box on the right-hand side to the middle right corner. I wouldn't say top right entirely, but that put them ahead against Botafogo, and they ended up going through after holding out a 1-0 result in extra time. So both these games went into extra time, and Palmeiras with Esteval, who is going to be our player. If we end up knocking out Palmeiras, he'll be our player right after that, which is pretty funny. You know, we could be the club to make Esteval his last game at that club, making him join us. Um, and then obviously I just talked about the Chelsea result, and Kunku, Reece James, Neto, and KDH were the goal scorers for us, allowing us to advance into the quarterfinal where we play Palmeiras on 4th of July. Actually, if you're American, it's Independence Day for us. It's at 8 p.m. So yeah, I'm gonna be partying, but watching the game while partying, I guess. So there's that. We're in the quarterfinal against Palmeiras, and if we want to look at the other side of the bracket, you can see what happened today. Fluminense beat Inter Milan 2-0. I broke that down already. They had a goal early on and then a goal at the very end of the game to pretty much seal the deal. Fluminense fans were crying. Thiago Silva was crying, and I was really happy to see that. Thiago Silva is one of my idols in terms of football. So, you know, I'm really happy to see that he's playing at such an elite level at 40 years old. But they move into the quarterfinal, and then again just broke down the Man City Al Hilal game where Al Hilal basically just bullied Man City on transition to move to the quarterfinal. So that's a matchup as well at 4th of July, but this is at 2 p.m., so it's pretty early on. I wish the games were flipped so I could actually, you know, sit down and watch the entire Chelsea game rather than being around a lot of people, but we'll leave that for a separate time. Fluminense and Al Hilal play each other in the quarterfinal, which makes up this. Fluminense and Al Hilal play. The winner of that plays the winner of Palmeiras versus Chelsea. This little box here is not important. This is the other side of the bracket. But this box will contain one team from one of these four. So if Chelsea end up beating Palmeiras and let's say Al Hilal beat Fluminense, it would be Chelsea versus Al Hilal, and let's say Chelsea win, Chelsea are into the final. It could be any other way. Let's say Palmeiras beat Chelsea, Fluminense beat Al Hilal, Palmeiras beat Fluminense in the semifinal, and they move to the final. It's these four teams going against each other for a side in the for a chance at the final. And if we look, it's a very favorable bracket. We could have seen Inter right here and Man City right, or I guess it would be Inter right here, Man City right here in the quarterfinal, and that makes for a very tough semifinal matchup. Obviously, Al Hilal are a very good side. I'm not going to put that past them. I do think they have the potential to go out and beat Fluminense, and I do think they have the potential to beat us, to be honest. They have a really good squad. They have, I'd say, one of the best, if not the best manager in the world in Simone Inzaghi, who brought Inter Milan to the Champions League final twice in the span of 4 years? No, it would be 3 or 2. Chelsea won in 2021, Man City won in 2020. So in the span of 3 years, he brought Inter Milan to 2 Champions League finals. Obviously lost to Man City and then got absolutely battered by PSG, but it's impressive seeing the quality they have, like the true quality the team has without him compared to how they looked with him. It's impressive the job he's done there, and it's impressive the job he's done at Al Hilal throughout this tournament. So I wouldn't be surprised if they make it pretty far, as they already have, but, you know, potentially to the semifinals and potentially to the final. But if you look at this road, if you envision Inter Milan and Man City there, you can wipe that out. It's Fluminense and Al Hilal, who I think are much favorable matchups compared to Inter Milan and Man City. I would favor us against Inter Milan slightly, but Man City, I think we would have been washed away, to be honest. I don't really give us much hope against Man City. I'd like to be proven otherwise, but until then, I'm not really going to say we're ever going to beat Man City. It just seems like we won't, at best, draw with them. Um, Even during Pochettino era, where we knew how to beat Man City with that counter-attacking style, we still didn't. And then last year we lost both times against them, even when they're at their poorest. So yeah, I'm really glad to see them eliminated. I think we could have beat Inter Milan though, but Fluminense and Al Hilal it is, and if we beat Palmeiras, it would lead to a fixture against one of those two sides in the semifinal for a chance to the final. Um, so how much money does this make us? Um, the money paid to each team for qualifying is added on with the performance money. We already made 40.6 million US dollars, not pounds. We made 29.6 million pounds, I believe, somewhere around there, for qualifying for the tournament. So this is pretty wrong. It's not 31 or 38.1. We know it's confirmed that Chelsea made 40.6 million dollars in the conversion rate, and 29.6 million pounds, which is I think fourth or third uh, in terms of the payout for other teams. And then in the group stage, we won 2 games, so we made $4 million. So you can make it $44.6 million. Um, then we made another 7.5 for qualifying for the round of 16, so you can make that $52.1 million. In the quarterfinal, we made another 13.1, so you can make that 65.2. And then if we were to make the semifinals, we can make that. Where was I? 65.2, I believe. So you would add another 21, which would be 86.2. And then if we were to go on and win everything, it would be 126.2 million. But even then, we would make 107.2 million if we just made the final and got out this road that I just showed y'all, beating one of the likes of Fluminense or Al Hilal, as well as beating Palmeiras on 4th of July. We would make at least $107.2 million American dollars, which is probably like 80-90 million pounds, somewhere around there. So yeah, an incredible sum of money is in this tournament, especially if we win it all. $126 million is about 100 million pounds. So there's an incredible sum of money to be won. So that's why I felt it was important to talk about this with y'all, because we're pretty much on track. If we've already made 65.2 million just making the quarterfinal. And if we do end up winning, that's another 21. And then if we do end up winning, that's at least another 21. So it's very important that we just continue to keep fighting through this tournament. I know it's not really been the fan favorite tournament, but I think the format's great. I think the tournament's great. It's just really being hosted in America is the problem. And I'm American, I can say that with the full chest. I'm not really a fan of the tournament being here. And I think there's going to be major tweaks for the World Cup next summer. There better be, at least. I don't think it's going to be very watchable. If it's not, I don't think it'll be very memorable if it's not tweaked. But there's a base layout. I really like the tournament style. I just think, again, another location or just another way to go about it would have been better. But the money to be made really overshadows everything. And I think if Chelsea stay in this and keep this road that they have, again, if we beat Palmeiras, that's another 21 million. If we just make this spot right here, and then if Fluminense or Al Hilal make, or one of the two will make this spot right here, they'll make the 21 million. But let's say we beat Fluminense right here, we would move up here, and that would be another 21 million. And then if we beat the other side that's there, we would add pretty much just 19 million onto that, because the winner of it all gets an extra 40 million. But it would only be an extra 19 million because you already made 21 for making the final. So yeah, if you want to look at the other side of the bracket to see who we could potentially face in the final, 2 games going on tomorrow. You can see Borussia Dortmund play Monterrey, and then Real Madrid play Juve. Winner of Real Madrid Juve move into one of those spots, and then winner of Borussia Dortmund Monterrey move into the other spot. I'm gonna assume that Madrid and Dortmund win, so it'd be out of the likes of PSG, Bayern, Real Madrid, and Dortmund to see who we play in the final. I'm assuming it's going to be PSG, to be honest. It's going to be one of the likes of PSG or Madrid. In my opinion, I think PSG are just such a good side right now. So, it begs the question of can we win it? And it's tough. It really is tough. It's really, do you think we can beat PSG? I think we have the best midfield um, to put up a fight with PSG, to be honest, but I don't know if our defense can really stop their attack. It'd have to be a really conservative game plan with Reece James locking down Doué, Cucurella locking down Dembele, Colwill and Towson maybe locking down Kavicha Kvaratskhelia. Um, yeah, it's really tough, but I do think we have a very good chance of making it to the final. Maybe not winning the final, but at least making it to the final. Um, so yeah, that is pretty much the basis of the Club World Cup. I just felt it would be nice to discuss it with y'all. And if you did enjoy this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. I'm covering a lot of Club World Cup content pertaining to Chelsea on this channel, so stick around, subscribe if you want to be updated about the Club World Cup or just about Chelsea news in general. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. And as always, it's Repulse, and I'm out. Peace.